Ice, meaning the frozen blade of House Stark, is one of the most legendary Valyrian steel greatswords in Westeros, and serves as the ancestral weapon of the Stark family for generations. This massive two-handed blade requires immense strength to wield effectively, measuring nearly as tall as a man, and forged with the smoky dark ripples characteristic of Valyrian steel. Ice represents the honor and justice of House Stark, used ceremonially by Eddard Stark to carry out executions in the north, reinforcing the Stark words that the man who passes the sentence should swing the sword. The blade's significance extends beyond its practical use, as it symbolizes the ancient power and nobility of the Stark lineage, passed down from lord to lord as a sacred trust. Ned Stark wielded ice with solemn duty, understanding that every swing of the blade carried the weight of northern justice and his family's reputation. However, Ice's legacy came to a tragic end following Ned's execution in King's Landing, when Tywin Lannister ordered the greatsword melted down and reforged into two separate blades, Oathkeeper and Widow's Wail, effectively destroying centuries of Stark heritage in a single act of spite and domination. The destruction of Ice represented not just the loss of a weapon, but the symbolic breaking of House Stark's power during the War of the Five Kings, serving as a reminder of how even the most ancient and revered artifacts can fall victim to political conquest and the cruel machinations of those who seek to erase their enemies' legacies. Longclaw, meaning the extended talon, is the ancestral Valyrian steel bastard sword of House Mormont, originally bearing a bear pommel to represent the house sigil of the noble northern family. This hand-and-a-half sword combines the versatility of being wielded with one or two hands, making it an exceptional weapon for combat situations requiring both agility and power. Jeor Mormont, the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, brought Longclaw with him when he took the Black, preserving this family heirloom even as he left his old life behind to serve at the Wall. When Jon Snow saved Lord Commander Mormont from a white attack in his own chambers, demonstrating both courage and loyalty beyond measure, Jeor rewarded him by gifting Longclaw to the young man, recognizing in Jon the qualities of a true leader and warrior. Before presenting the blade, Jeor had the pommel changed from a bear to a white wolf, symbolizing Jon's Stark heritage and connection to his direwolf ghost, transforming the weapon into something uniquely suited to its new bearer. Jon Snow wielded Longclaw throughout his journey from steward to Lord Commander, and eventually King in the North, using its Valyrian steel edge to slay Whites and White Walkers alike, proving the blade's worth against the ancient enemy of mankind. The sword became synonymous with Jon's identity, serving him faithfully through the Battle of the Bastards, the Great War against the Night King, and his eventual exile beyond the Wall. Longclaw's journey from a Mormont family blade to Jon Snow's primary weapon represents the complex web of honor, loyalty, and destiny that defines the Song of Ice and Fire, demonstrating how weapons can transcend their original purpose to become symbols of entirely new legacies. Unlike Ice, Longclaw survived the wars and political upheaval of Westeros, remaining in Jon's possession as he ventured north with the Free Folk, carrying with it the combined honor of House Mormont and House Stark into whatever uncertain future awaited beyond the Wall. Heartsbane, meaning the Bane of Hearts, is the ancestral Valyrian steel greatsword of House Tarly, one of the most powerful vassal houses sworn to House Tyrell in the Reach. This imposing two-handed blade has been passed down through the Tarly line for generations, representing their martial prowess and their reputation as some of the finest warriors in the Seven Kingdoms. Randyll Tarly, one of the few commanders to ever defeat Robert Baratheon in battle, wielded Heartsbane with deadly efficiency, earning his fearsome reputation on battlefields across Westeros. However, Randyll's disappointment in his eldest son, Samwell, whom he viewed as weak and unworthy of inheriting the family blade, led him to force Sam to join the Night's Watch and relinquish any claim to his birthright. Despite his father's disdain, Samwell Tarly proved his worth in ways that transcended traditional martial skill, becoming a scholar and survivor who understood the true threat facing humanity from beyond the wall. When Sam returned to Horn Hill briefly during his journey to the Citadel, he made the bold decision to steal Heartsbane from his family's castle, recognizing that Valyrian steel would be far more valuable at the wall fighting the White Walkers than hanging on a wall as a trophy in the Reach. Sam's theft of Heartsbane represented his final rejection of his father's cruel judgment and his commitment to the Night's Watch and the greater good, choosing duty over family obligation. During the Battle of Winterfell, Samwell Tarly wielded Heartsbane against the army of the dead, using his family's ancestral blade to protect the living in humanity's darkest hour, proving that courage comes in many forms, and that even those dismissed as cowards can rise to become heroes when it matters most. After the defeat of the Night King and the death of his father and brother at Daenerys Targaryen's hands, Sam became the rightful Lord of Horn Hill, finally possessing Heartsbane not through inheritance, but through his own actions and the terrible price his family paid in the wars that consumed Westeros. Dark Sister, meaning the shadowed sibling, is one of the 2 Valyrian steel blades brought to Westeros by the Targaryen family before the doom of Valyria, serving as a slender longsword designed for speed and precision rather than raw power. This elegant blade was wielded by Visenya Targaryen, one of Aegon the Conqueror's sister wives, who proved herself as formidable a warrior as any man in the Seven Kingdoms during the conquest. Dark Sister's slim profile made it particularly suited to Visenya's fighting style, allowing for quick strikes and exceptional maneuverability in combat, distinguishing it from its companion blade Blackfire, which was wielded by Aegon himself. After Visenya's death, Dark Sister passed through several notable hands in House Targaryen, including Prince Daemon Targaryen, the Rogue Prince, who wielded it during the Dance of the Dragons, using the ancient blade in his aerial duel against Aemond One-Eye above the God's Eye Lake. The sword later came into the possession of Brynden Rivers, better known as Bloodraven, a legitimized Targaryen bastard who served as Hand of the King before eventually joining the Night's Watch and disappearing beyond the wall. Dark Sister's ultimate fate remains one of the great mysteries of Westeros, as it vanished with Bloodraven when he became the Three-Eyed Raven, suggesting the blade may still exist somewhere beyond the wall, hidden in the ancient Weirwood Cave, where Bran Stark received his training. The sword's legacy represents the warrior spirit of House Targaryen, particularly the women of the dynasty, who refused to be relegated to passive roles and instead took up arms to defend their family's claim to the Iron Throne. Dark Sister's disappearance also serves as a reminder that even the most legendary weapons can be lost to time and circumstance, their locations becoming legends whispered about in ancient texts and half-remembered histories. Should Dark Sister ever resurface, it would represent a direct link to the age of Aegon's conquest and the dawn of Targaryen rule, a blade that witnessed the founding of a dynasty and survived its eventual collapse. Oathkeeper, meaning the Guardian of Promises, is one of the 2 swords reforged from the melted-down remains of ice, the ancestral greatsword of House Stark, created by the finest smiths in King's Landing under Tywin Lannister's orders. This longsword retains the distinctive rippled appearance of Valyrian steel, but has been reforged with a reddish tint running through the blade, symbolizing the Lannister crimson mixed with the Stark grey. Tywin originally intended Oathkeeper as a gift for his son Jaime Lannister, hoping to establish a new Lannister legacy with Valyrian steel now that his house finally possessed such rare and precious blades. However, Jaime, having lost his sword hand and with it his identity as a warrior, chose to give Oathkeeper to Brienne of Tarth, entrusting her with the mission to find and protect Sansa Stark, thus attempting to fulfill his oath to Catelyn Stark even after her death. The naming of Oathkeeper reflects Jaime's complex character development, his journey from an oath-breaking Kingslayer to a man attempting to reclaim his honor by keeping his promises, no matter the personal cost. Brienne wielded Oathkeeper with fierce dedication, using the sword in her battles against the Hound, against the army of the dead at Winterfell, and in her unwavering service to the Stark daughters as she had sworn. The sword's lineage carries profound symbolic weight, transformed from a Stark blade into a Lannister weapon and then entrusted to a warrior sworn to protect the Starks, representing the complicated web of loyalty, honor, and redemption that defines the relationship between these great houses. Oathkeeper's journey from ice to its current form mirrors the transformation of Westeros itself during the wars, showing how even destruction can lead to new purposes, and how weapons carry the weight of their history even as they forge new legends. Unlike its sister blade Widow's Wail, Oathkeeper found itself in the hands of someone who truly understood and embodied the values its name represented, making it more than just a weapon but a symbol of honor reborn from tragedy. Widow's Wail, meaning the cry of the bereaved, is the second sword reforged from ice, created alongside Oathkeeper from the ancestral Stark greatsword after Tywin Lannister's order to destroy the blade. This longsword shares the same reddish Lannister tint as its sister blade but was given to King Joffrey Baratheon as a wedding gift, meant to arm the boy king with a weapon worthy of his station and to celebrate his marriage to Margaery Tyrell. Joffrey, delighting in cruelty and showmanship, immediately tested the blade by cleaving a massive tome in half, demonstrating both the sharpness of Valyrian steel and his own contempt for knowledge and history. The name Widow's Wail, chosen by Joffrey himself, reflected his sadistic nature and his pleasure in causing suffering, turning what could have been a noble weapon into an instrument named for grief and loss. However, Joffrey never wielded Widow's Wail in actual combat, as he died at his own wedding feast, poisoned before he could truly test the blade in battle or bring shame to its Valyrian steel edge. After Joffrey's death, Widow's Wail passed to his younger brother Tommen Baratheon, though the gentle and unwarlike young king never used the sword, allowing it to remain a decorative piece rather than a weapon of war. Following Tommen's suicide and the extinction of the Baratheon line that sat on the Iron Throne, Widow's Wail eventually came into the possession of Jaime Lannister, who wielded it during the final conflicts of the series, bringing the sword full circle back to the Lannister family. The blade's presence at the Battle of Winterfell, where Jaime fought alongside the living against the army of the dead, represented a form of redemption for both the weapon and its wielder, as something forged from the Stark legacy returned to help defend the Stark home. Widow's Wail's journey from a symbol of Joffrey's cruelty to a tool in humanity's defense against extinction demonstrates how weapons transcend their bearers, carrying meaning that shifts with each new hand that grasps their hilts. The ultimate fate of Widow's Wail remains uncertain, last seen in Jaime's possession before his death in the collapsing Red Keep, potentially buried forever beneath the ruins of King's Landing alongside the man who wielded it in his final moments. Lady Forlorn, meaning the sorrowful noblewoman, is the ancestral Valyrian steel blade of House Corbray, one of the principal houses of the Vale of Arryn, known for its distinctive beauty and deadly edge. This longsword has been passed down through the Corbray line for centuries, earning its melancholic name from legends lost to time but suggesting a tragic origin story involving lost love or devastating loss. During Robert's Rebellion, Sir Lyn Corbray wielded Lady Forlorn at the Battle of the Trident, where he used the Valyrian steel blade to slay Prince Lewin Martell of the Kingsguard, demonstrating the sword's effectiveness against even the most skilled warriors in Westeros. Lady Forlorn's reputation as a blade of exceptional quality makes it one of the most prized possessions of the Vale houses, representing not just martial power, but also the ancient nobility and prestige of House Corbray. Unlike many Valyrian steel swords that changed hands through conquest or political maneuvering, Lady Forlorn has remained within House Corbray throughout the tumultuous events of recent history, a testament to the family's ability to maintain their heritage despite the wars ravaging the realm. Sir Lyn Corbray's possession of the blade makes him a formidable presence in the Vale's political landscape, as few would dare challenge a man wielding Valyrian steel in single combat. The sword's name carries a haunting quality that sets it apart from more aggressive-sounding blades like Heartsbane or Widow's Wail, suggesting that the greatest weapons sometimes carry the deepest sorrows within their histories. Lady Forlorn represents the enduring power of the Vail houses, who remained largely untouched by the War of the Five Kings and maintained their ancestral treasures while other great houses saw their legacies destroyed or scattered. The blade's continued presence in the Vale serves as a reminder that not all legendary swords need to be lost, reforged, or stolen to maintain their significance, sometimes simply remaining in the hands of their rightful owners and continuing the legacy they were meant to uphold. Red Rain, meaning the Crimson Deluge, is the Valyrian steel sword currently held by House Drum of the Iron Islands. Unique among the great blades of Westeros for its blood-red color that makes it instantly recognizable. This distinctive coloring sets Red Rain apart from typical Valyrian steel's dark, smoky appearance, suggesting either a unique forging process or some alteration made to the blade after its creation in ancient Valyria. The sword's presence in the Iron Islands is particularly notable because the Ironborn traditionally pay the iron price for their possessions, taking what they claim through conquest rather than purchasing or inheriting wealth. Red Rain's origins remain mysterious, but the Drum family claims their ancestor took the blade from the corpse of a warrior during a raid on the western coast, earning the sword through blood and battle as befits the old way of the Iron Islands. The blade's name perfectly encapsulates the Ironborn philosophy of reaving and raiding, evoking images of decks slick with blood and the aftermath of coastal raids where Ironborn reavers descended upon unsuspecting villages. House Drum's possession of Red Rain makes them one of the more prestigious families of the Iron Islands, as Valyrian steel weapons are incredibly rare among the Ironborn despite their centuries of raiding along Westeros's coasts. The sword represents a tangible link between the Iron Islands' culture of taking what they desire and the ancient craftsmanship of Valyria, bringing together two of the most fearsome martial traditions in the known world. Unlike mainland houses that treat their Valyrian steel blades as sacred heirlooms to be preserved and passed down with ceremony, Red Rain embodies the Ironborn belief that a weapon's worth comes from its use in battle rather than its age or symbolic value. The Crimson Blade serves as a constant reminder that the Ironborn remain a force to be reckoned with, possessing not just the ferocity and seamanship that makes them dangerous raiders, but also the weapons necessary to challenge even the greatest knights of the mainland in single combat. Red Rain's fate throughout the series remains largely unexplored, as the Iron Islands plotlines focused more on political maneuvering than on the legendary weapons held by individual houses, but its existence adds depth to the world's history and suggests countless untold stories of how this blood-red blade earned its fearsome reputation across centuries of raiding and conquest. The Valyrian steel swords of Westeros are more than weapons. They are symbols of ancient history, family legacy, and the lost civilization of Valyria. Each blade carries the stories of past owners, the memory of old battles, and the weight of centuries of tradition. From Ice's destruction and rebirth as Oathkeeper and Widow's Wail, to Longclaw's journey into Jon Snow's hands, these swords show how a weapon can become a symbol of honor, betrayal, and destiny. With the secrets of their forging lost in the Doom, each surviving blade is irreplaceable and treated as a priceless heirloom. Whether wielded by noble knights, cruel kings, or unlikely heroes, Valyrian steel proves its worth not only in war, but against the supernatural dangers beyond the wall. The fate of these 8 swords mirrors the themes of A Song of Ice and Fire: legacies broken and reforged, power changing hands, and the constant struggle for survival in a world shaped by chaos and ambition.